Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is actually going to be some book chat, kind of a book review, and then just what I'm reading at the moment. I was doing really well with my reading. My goal was one book a month and I was actually a little bit ahead in May. So as a result, I think I took my foot off the gas. I decided to pick like quite a short book for my next book, but for some reason it took me ages to read. So this is Oroonoko by Aphra Behn. I think that's how you pronounce all those words. I bought this when we went to Chawton, to where Jane Austen had lived and spent a lot of her adult life, and where she'd written her like 6 main novels. And this was just in the little shop of like the big estate that we looked round, and so I thought I would just pick it up because I had heard some stuff about Aphra Behn, and so this was like a significant novel, particularly written by a woman. It's just really weird book. I mean, it was written in, it's an older book than I realised. Aphra Behn, it says in here, was born in 1640 and died 1689. So this book was published at some point. I don't know when it was first published, but it's old. And so I think that slightly threw me. Apart from like some of the language used though, I don't think it's necessarily like super inaccessible as a result of how old it is. But it says on the back, written by spy, traveller and groundbreaking woman writer Aphra Behn, this story of an African prince sold into slavery is considered one of the earliest English novels. So I kind of thought it would be about an African prince sold into slavery, which it is, but kind of like a critique of that, like maybe a down with slavery kind of, anti-slavery kind of vibe. Obviously it's quite early. I think that's what maybe slightly threw me, because I was like, oh, it's, you know, it's the 17th century. There was less of an anti-slave abolitionist movement at that time. It's just like a really weird book, because the African prince who was sold into slavery had up till that point sold other people into slavery, and then he himself gets kind of double crossed and is sold into slavery. And there's like a complicated other story about the woman that he has fallen in love with being kind of lusted after by his uncle, and so he like kind of kidnaps her and has her in his harem. And I mean, the situation for women is just like, I don't know what I don't know. I found it like a really odd book, because I couldn't really understand. I think when you think it's a woman writer and it's about someone being sold into slavery, you're kind of expecting an anti-slavery message, a clear anti-slavery message, and perhaps like a more pro-woman message, or like a stop treating women like shit message. But there's just like a strong theme of like horrible things happening to this woman in this book. Like it does not end well for her. And then all the slavery. And like when he is sold into slavery, because he's so like handsome and just like incredibly like clearly destined for better things, because he was a prince and he's like carries himself, he's so noble and he's like a brave warrior and etc etc. And it is mentioned a few times that his physical appearance is I guess the vibe I got was like slightly more Caucasian, so I guess maybe like a lighter skin, or it doesn't look quite like the other slaves, I guess. And that seems to, you know, that he's sort of separated from the slaves, and he doesn't really have to do like what the slave work that they have to do, kind of thing. And it's just a little bit weird. I don't know, has anyone else read this? What do you think? Leave a comment. It was a while ago that I read it, actually. It took me a while to get through it because I was just really tired and lazy, easily distracted by my phone as well. So the book that I'm reading at the moment is called Threads of Life, which I think my sister bought for me. Someone bought it for me for my birthday, which was back in April, so it's taken me this long to get onto it. But and it's really interesting. So it's written by a woman called Claire Hunter, who's an embroiderer, a sewer, does embroidery, and so it goes through a lot of different things that she's been directly involved in. So she's obviously based in Scotland, and she's done work in with local community groups that have involved sewing, a lot of producing panels and quilts and banners and things to sort of celebrate and describe their local area. Some of those were for sort of political motives, or for social, a project where they really wanted to do regenerate and improve the area, but also keep that sense of community, and other things where it's patients in a hospital and bringing people together that were kind of vulnerable groups, and some things that have a clear political message, so banners for political protests and stuff. But then she also talks about other people's experience of sewing and why it's been so important, so people in POW camps, and war soldiers with PTSD who were given embroidery and sewing kits to help with their recovery. And it's been really interesting, and I've been really enjoying it, and I was trying to read a chapter a night before bed to stop me from going on my phone, to help me with sleep. But I'm just finding that I find reading in bed really hard because I'm just tired and I don't really want to concentrate and read. So I was doing quite well with it, but it's sort of slowed down. But I'm on page 243, and there's about 300 pages. So I'm quite close to the end now, which is very exciting. So I'm just including that in this video because I've been reading it for a while recently, and I am quite close to the end. But if you're interested in sewing, and if you're interested in politics, and if you're particularly interested in how sewing and textiles and embroidery has been important to people's lives, different countries, different time periods, I recommend this book. And I think she's quite a good writer. I don't know if she, I don't know much about her other than what I've read in this book, but she just seems to have pulled a lot of different things together very well. So it's an easy read, and an interesting read, so that's good. So those are my 2 books of recent times. Let me know what you think in the comments, and give me a like if you like the video, and subscribe for more.